Oh, let me tell you something. Bustin' makes me feel good.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Blockbusting, the podcast where we love to hate the movies. I'm your host, Jay Light. Joining me once again, a rare second guest appearance from my friend Handren Seavey.
Hello, welcome. Really, has there not been a lot of repeat customers?
Not a whole lot. It's you, Gary Peterson, Zane Helberg, Grace Baldridge.
Okay, I don't know Grace. That's the only one.
Grace is great. She just made an explicit queer Christian album that peaked at #1 on the iTunes charts.
Oh, hey, there you go.
So yeah, good for Grace. Go listen
Queer
to it.
Christian.
Preacher's Kid, listeners.
I also have an album, and it's not on the charts, called HS1. It's my first debut comedy album that you can get everywhere you get podcasts, including YouTube.
That's convenient. HS1.
HS1, yeah. I ripped off Run the Jewels. I did with the album cover too. I did H and S, or the sign language for for HS. So it just looks like that, and I did the same color and everything. I'm just going to do that for all my albums. Just rip off Run the Jewels.
That's a good idea. I think that's a good move. What's your hand holding in the one that's holding the thing?
This is H and this is S.
Oh, but is it holding like a chain or something like?
Oh no, not this one. Maybe the next one. Yeah, it was a very cheap. It actually came out looking good, but it was a very quick and cheap Photoshop job to make it happen.
Nice.
Yeah,
I mean, we love quick and cheap Photoshops around here on Comedians Making Their Own Shit Island. I'm with you on that. Well, you brought this movie to me, and it's a recent one, and it's getting some for some reasons, it's getting some not critical acclaim. It's doing pretty bad, but it is getting Jared Leto's getting nominated for Best Supporting Actor a bunch, and I feel like he's probably going to get an Oscar nomination, which is total fucking garbage.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't deserve it for this movie, The Little Things.
Yes, it is. Okay, so this is my greater conspiracy about this movie is just with the release itself. This is the, I believe, second movie, or it was the first major one that with Warner Brothers doing their this year. They said all year that all their major releases are being released streaming and in theaters at the same time.
Right.
So they looked at the array of movies they had for this year. And usually shitty movies come out in January.
Yeah, that's historical because they always just want to dump them off. They know nobody's going to be going out. So you just dump off the bullshit garbage movies.
And they had a rarity shitty movie with 3 big names in it that could sell tickets, make it seem like they're starting off this streaming thing with a bang, when really they gave us the shittiest movie, hopefully the shittiest movie they have. If they have ones that are worse than this that they're about to put out this year, just fucking stop and rethink, go back to making Batmans or something. But yeah, so they had Denzel, Jared Leto, and Romney Malik, who none of which knew they were in the same movie. I don't know if you noticed that, it's like that's the acting you came up with versus what that guy is doing over there.
Dude, I can't believe that this movie came out with these 3 guys who all have, a good performance in them.
Have all done great stuff, yeah.
They've all done great stuff. They've all won Oscars. They all know how to act. John Lee Hancock, the director and the writer, he's written and directed critically acclaimed stuff. He's won awards for his work.
What else has he done?
He did The Blind Side. He did The Founder. He did The Rookie. Okay. He does a lot of movies with "the" in the name.
Yeah, and it seems like he was on a long tear though of based on real things, true stories, and now this is his first into just a straight up fictional tale. And I get where I think they're definitely going noir. They're trying to make that like kind of old school LA noir film. But I don't know. It was so fucking, some of the parts where they're like, they called it the little things. And then they have like these things that are like, ooh, those are little things that I bet maybe they have. And you're just like,
I bet it's because Denzel Washington pays attention to the little things.
Yeah.
Is that why? Here's the crazy thing about this movie. So I was looking into it. You know, obviously it's the January garbage release.
Yeah.
I was reading John Hancock wrote this movie in 1993. And originally
nobody's made it till now because there was no reason to. And then a pandemic hit. They could only film in LA and they could only have 3 people on set at a time. So they're like, we've got a script.
So they got Steven Spielberg was originally supposed to direct, then Clint Eastwood, Warren Beatty, and Danny DeVito, and then they all dropped it. And then eventually John Lee Hancock was like, you know what? I'm going to make this movie myself. I have faith in it. And what I fully believe happened is that he wrote this movie and then did not change any element of it from the 90s when he originally wrote it. Like, there's no reason for this to be set in the 90s. The only thing he might have done is he might have done a pass to get rid of like 90s stuff that was like okay to say versus what is like PC now. Yeah. But I feel like that's it. Like the plot is it's such a stock paint by numbers, totally like average middle of the road crime drama, but also so bad. Because bad and so overacted. Like I will say, Denzel did Denzel. When he is a brooding detective or cop or failed cop trying to like, he's very toned down. He played that note. He holds scenes long. Like he said, he looked at the script and was like, I've played this guy 100 times already. I'll just do that same shit. But then the other 2 were like, I'm going full Jim Carrey, Ace Ventura here. That's what I felt fucking Romney Malik was doing in it, which is like, I'm going to go so completely over the top with this character that somehow it'll work. But it was just like, dude, and I do think, they took out all the times Denzel called him a fag in that movie. If it was written in the 90s. Oh yeah. I remember there was even a part where I was like, they say, I had closed captioning on for a little bit because I had my vacuum running. And it said Nancy's at one point, and I was like, that line
I know what that used to be.
Nancy's. I know what that was originally said. I just saw Wild at Heart, which was made in the 90s. Nick Cage calls people faggots in that movie. John Lee Hancock probably wrote that down. I think, but the thing is though, like with Denzel Washington, right? Like he's doing his part, right? Yeah. But you ever read that story about, it's an interview with SNL writers about Kenan Thompson where they say that like you just throw in a line of like Kenan reacts in a sketch.
Oh yeah.
And it'll always be a guaranteed like, oh, this is going to be the hit, right? So you get a movie like this and you cast Denzel Washington and the expectation I think is probably, all right, this script is pretty bad, but we're going to give Denzel Washington these long monologues and he's just going to kill it in these monologues.
Yeah.
But the monologues have to be better written than this for him to elevate the material, right? Like just because you get him monologuing for a while in front of a dead girl in a coroner's office or in front of like the body bridge site with Rami Malek, like just because he's saying a bunch of words in sort of an understated Denzel Washington-y kind of way, that doesn't mean it's going to be fun to watch.
He's just like milk, eggs, bread. He just starts reading a grocery list. They're like, yeah, it'll be good. People will love it. So there's that. Now, Romney Malik, I think what would have made this better, because another thing about it is there's no dynamics. There's no like, it's like, we have to find a killer. Pretty sure it's this really fucking creepy guy right here. All of the evidence points to it. It's got to be the
weird guy who walks gut first and doesn't wash his hair ever and takes the bus to the strip club. It's got to be that guy.
But I think Romney Malik's character, what might have helped this is if that was a woman. if a woman played that character, then it would make more sense of the unbalancedness to Denzel. I think it just would be a better dynamic because I don't see that guy being a detective I don't see him being a cop. Like, you have to be a cop first to make detective and shit. And I just don't see him. He seemed like a guy they were like, you're a cop today. And all of a sudden he just found out and that was his fucking first day.
Yeah. It's like they just brought him in because they even make a big show of it at the very beginning being like, oh, this is the new guy, right? This is your new detective. But we don't really get a sense of why we're supposed to care about him as a character other than, oh, he's got a family with like a nice wife and 2 daughters. Like, okay, I guess that's it. That's all we're supposed to. That's the whole basis that we're going to put us wanting to make sure that he gets his man. Okay,
it was that part was similar to the dynamic that they have with Training Day, which this is basically Training Day gone wrong. Is all this is. Training Day, Denzel and fucking what's his name there?
Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, amazing. It's the dynamic there is perfect. This, I don't know, Rami Malek, he just really bothered me in this. And it made me go back and check out some of his other stuff. Like, he's great in Bohemian Rhapsody. However, that movie I did not care for as a telling of Queen's story.
Agreed, yeah.
But then he was in Pacific, the Band of Brothers kind of.
Oh yeah, the Japanese Band of Brothers,
Japanese theater. Yeah, and he was supposed to be this like Cajun guy, and he was a little over the top as that fucking dude. Like he puts it on like it's a fucking Broadway musical. That's what I felt. Is he wanted to tap dance in and out of every scene in this movie.
I feel like, I mean, I've seen trailers because he's the new Bond villain, and I've seen trailers for the new James Bond for a year because they still haven't released it, even though it's been in the can for a while now. And I feel like roles like that are, like that and Freddie Mercury, where it's supposed to be somebody who's very clearly playing like bombastic or campy in some way.
Yeah.
As opposed to subtle. Like, Rami Malek has not proven to me through this movie, and I say that as somebody who has not watched basically anything he's ever done except for Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't think, is not somebody who can play subtle well.
Yeah. Like, well, he's got that fucking face. His face is not a subtle face. And I think
his upper lip is not a subtle upper lip. It's just like, it just doesn't fit. We don't care. We not only do we not care about what he does, he doesn't play the part right and doesn't give us anything. Like, it just doesn't work. And then Jared Leto comes in and he's getting all sorts of awards nominations for basically just being like a weird guy. It's so stupid.
You think I would love if like the filming of it was they had filmed everything up until when Jared Leto got there, and then so like they had like 2 weeks of filming before he even got on set, and then they started doing his parts, and he watched the dailies and was like, "Oh, you think you've got a character? Wait till you see my character." Like, you're gonna try and overact me in this? Oh no, you're not. And I would love a scene of them just completely overacting each other, like back and forth, like in the interrogation scene.
Oh,
okay,
yeah.
so then
that's probably all it was. Is just Denzel Washington just like came in with an idea, and then Rami Malek and Jared Leto just trying to consistently top each other.
Yeah, and now how it worked out too. Like, there was no twist to it. Nothing about it was like, oh, it wasn't what I thought it was. It was like, this cop got his revenge, and you know what I mean? Like, I would have loved to find out that, because like, do you think he's the guy, right?
Right. The whole movie, you're like, oh, we think he's the guy.
Yeah. And that's the thing. The whole time you think he's the guy. If they had him, so spoiler alert, if anybody, we're telling you it's a terrible movie, but go ahead and watch. When they kill him, when they kill Jared Leto in the end, if they had somehow made it very clear he wasn't the guy, that would at least add a twist of like, they thought they were taking out justice and now they've just killed an innocent person. Fucking end there, and then you were left with feeling some different emotion other than like, oh, they figured it out. And then, but then also, why would he go in that car with him? Why would Rami Malek
to go out to the place?
To go out to
because he's a bad cop. Because he's bad and reckless, and so is Denzel Washington. Like, we also find out, of course, at the very end of the movie, right around when you find out, oh, oopsie, Jared Leto is not the guy. That's when you find out that Denzel Washington. So there's for plot's sake, just in case anyone listening has not seen the movie, and don't worry, you don't need to watch it. Denzel Washington's character is a cop who investigated serial killer type murders that are in the same vein of like what's happening in this movie many years ago. And there's this whole thing where like it's intercut with him investigating these two dead bodies, and then they're like, what's happening in this other thing? We don't know where this third body is. And then it's revealed that he shot this girl who they thought had also been murdered, and they thought they were going to find her body somewhere. Oopsie, Denzel Washington shot her, and then they covered it up to make it look like it was a serial killer who did all of it. We find that out as we're finding out that Jared Leto is not the guy, and that he's.
So you think he wasn't the guy?
A weirdo. Yeah,
I thought he was the guy.
No, he's not the guy because we know he's not the guy because Denzel Washington bought the beret that they burned at the end.
Yes, but however, there was the milk thing and the beer thing that was. He also had they had him drinking that at when they go to they showed that he had the milk and beer, and that's the only thing that was fresh in the fridge at the girl's house.
Right. I don't think it's the guy.
I took it as it was the guy, but we can't prove it in court or arrest him, but we know, so we're just going to kill him.
I think it's maybe not the guy.
Okay.
I think he's not the guy, and Denzel Washington is like, well, I got to cover this up because I fucked up again. Because I'm also secretly a bad cop.
I want to Google and see what consensus online is.
Yeah, I was trying to look up and see if they thought he was going to be a guy or not, but who knows?
The little things did he do it?
That's the thing about this movie is there's just like there's so much potential in a movie like this to be interesting or innovative or cool. Like, the crime drama is a well-worn genre, especially the LA crime drama. Like, I just saw Heat for the first time recently.
Really? First time like a couple weeks ago. And it really lays a great template for not just a great crime drama, but also a very LA-centric noir kind of story. Yeah.
So this is well-worn territory. And the thing I've seen a lot of people comparing this to is Seven, which there's some of the same dynamics in there. Denzel Washington also, I guess, turned down the Morgan Freeman role in Seven.
Oh, interesting.
Back when it was originally made in 95. But this movie just takes all of the potential to do something interesting and cool, the way that like Heat and Seven and other crime dramas do, and put a different take on it. And instead they just let it be aggressively mediocre and disappointing and unsatisfying. Like, if you're going to make the twist ending be like, oh, maybe they didn't catch the killer. Maybe they just killed an innocent guy. You gotta make us care about the characters more.
Also, I give no shits about the people who died.
I don't give give a single fuck about.
I didn't know them. They just found, that is one thing that good they did in this is that woman who gets killed. They didn't let her talk in this film. She had no role, and that was fucking way to go, guys. It was. I wonder if that is part of because it was possibly filmed during coronavirus times. If there were other parts that they tried to keep out just because the less people, the easier.
Here's the thing. If it was filmed during COVID, I would give them some pass. It was filmed a year before COVID.
Oh, it was filmed so they were never going to release this. I don't think. I don't think this was ever going to come out. And then COVID hit, and they're like, "Fucking, what does it matter? Just put this out."
This was probably shelved, And then all of a sudden it comes out and it's hot garbage. But you know what? They're not going to receive the return on investment on this anyway.
Yeah. Now, do you think that, I wonder if these actors know that? If they watch it afterwards and they're like, no, that, because I mean, you got to. Some people just, some movies are good, some are bad. And but when you see it when it comes out, you got to know.
But here's the thing: is they're not going to think that, even if they know, because for some reason, Jared Leto is getting awards attention for this movie, which should not happen. Like, I can see why the Golden Globes would give him a nomination for Best Supporting Actor for this, because the Golden Globes is a bunch of starfuckers. Yeah, because the HFPA just wants to give prizes to celebrities,
white celebrities.
Yes, that's how they roll over the HFPA. But the SAG Awards, if they're giving him a nomination over, like, I mean, the one who I really would love to see. Did you see Sound of Metal? Have you watched that?
No, I've seen the ads for it. I'm familiar with it, and I know that guy. What's his name? It's not Rami.
Riz Ahmed is in that, and he's getting a lot of nominations for his stuff. I think he's probably going to get an Oscar nomination. Mm-hmm. He probably. If he doesn't, I will be shocked, because he's got nominated from like everything else. I
don't know what it is. People love drums. They love movies about drummers, which is odd.
Can't really hear a whole lot of drums in this movie, though, so it's weird. You'd think that would be the thing. It wasn't like
fucking Drumline. No, what was the Whiplash?
This is absolutely not like Drumline or Whiplash. It's neither of those. Those are the two spectrums of drum movies. It's on a different playing field. But there's the actor. His name's Paul Raci. He was a supporting actor in that movie, and he, I think, should have been getting all of this awards attention for outstanding supporting actor. He got a few awards for his role in that, and he's getting jack shit from everybody. And because he didn't get a nomination from the SAG group, he's probably not going to get a nomination at the Oscars. Instead, they're just going to give it to Jared Leto for just playing a guy who's like, oh, well, I'm a little bit of a weirdo, and I'm going to just be gross and weird, and give me awards, please.
Yeah, basically he's like, I'm still stuck in Joker mode. So I'll just go ahead and swing that right into this movie and be like, old Joker.
Yeah, he's Joker he's Joker after he got the tattoos removed.
Yeah. Which I heard somebody say this about his Joker too, is his Joker is like, it's like somebody who's really into the Joker. Mm-hmm. It's not the Joker, but somebody who's the biggest fan of the Joker. And they're like, I got all your tattoos.
Yeah. Have you ever seen, there's a video that was a viral video years and years ago of a kid who was like a college student. He was doing a Heath Ledger Joker impression in his webcam alone in his room. And his roommate walks in on him. He's like, what are you doing, dude? And the kid's just like, I'm being the Joker. That's who Jared Leto is.
Yeah.
He's that kid.
All grown up.
After his roommate's like, yeah, you can't, this fucking, why are you being the Joker, dude? You weirdo. What's wrong with you?
Romney Malik, we don't know yet he's still a young guy. We don't know what his career is going to be. Mm-hmm. This was a definite he really tried to go for it and fucking missed. He does seem like he really tries to go for it in everything he does. So I think he'll have some more hits and stuff as it happens, but I can't wait for the more ones. The flops are much more fun.
Right.
But Jared Leto, in my mind, he has done one good movie ever.
And what's that? Dallas Buyers Club?
No, that's good. Yeah, maybe two. No, I was going to say where he didn't have like super over the top was Lord of War, where he plays the brother in that. I thought he was excellent in that. It was he's a drug addict, but it was much more toned down. Like he wasn't fucking crazy over the top or anything. And that was one of the ones where I was like, oh, he can act. Like because I think the last I remembered before that was when he was on My So-Called Life. So you don't really know how he is an actor. And then I saw him in that, and I was like, he can do subtle. He can play toned down, and he can play very dramatic and very real. And then everything since then is like, yeah, it's like fucking I'll be the cross dresser, or I'll be the trans person, or which how come he doesn't get shit for that?
Oh, I don't know. Probably. I mean, because he won the award for it, I guess. So they're just like not going to worry about it.
Yeah, if you only don't get shit is if you win an Oscar.
Right. If you're bad, then of course, then he's going to get. But he got the Oscar for it. So I don't know, man. It's one of those things where like I even watching some of the I took some of these other notes here. Rami Malek was originally like the first scene. I think I was like, oh, Rami Malek is. His script is bad. Like his lines are bad, but I'm watching like, oh, Rami Malek was just bad in this movie.
Yeah.
Like there's a scene where the closest we get to seeing him play, like I think a version of this role where it kind of makes sense, where he's over the top, is in that scene where he's talking to the crime lab guy, the fucking nerd at the computer who's like, this is my fingerprint. How about that? It's got 8 matches out of the 13 you need. And he like grabs him by the neck and then throws him back down. It's like, that's the kind of thing that I think would make sense. But also, why do you got to make the CSI guy such a little shit? Why does he feel like he's not in a world that makes sense in this movie at all? Yeah. Why are none of these characters? The point you made about if they had made Rami Malek's character a female detective, I actually think if you put Natalie Morales in that role instead, and flop them around, I think that's a much more interesting way to look at this movie out the gate, where it's just she seems like she's more lived in as a character, the way she's being played, than Rami Malek, who's just like, I'm just this guy. I'm here. I'm gonna get my. But
man. the neuroticism of him and stuff, and it's like you wouldn't just. Yeah, how does that guy get that far in life? You don't get that far in life being like he's constantly like frustrated and flustered by shit, and you're like, how are you a fucking cop? Like, if that is, but that's the thing is why it makes it weird is because it's so unbelievable as a person. You go, this isn't a person. Nobody's really fucking like this.
What I should have known from the very beginning of this movie, when it starts out with that chase scene that's totally anticlimactic and it goes nowhere, truly, nobody dies, nobody even gets hurt. We see somebody like jump and almost get murdered by somebody, Jared Leto or whoever, and then get saved by a trucker. And nothing happens. That's basically this entire movie in a nutshell, where it's like, oh, we're going to be a little afraid for a minute because there's a lot of stuff happening in the dark, but then nothing happens and everything's fine and sort of pointless. That's what this whole movie is, just a warning. If I had known that, I would have just shut the thing off 5 minutes in and spent the next 2 hours doing something worthwhile.
It really had the feeling at the end of it of emptiness, where like you didn't believe that world existed. It wasn't like a movie that is not a cliffhanger ending, but has not a resolved like you like ending, but is still very great, is No Country for Old Men. The killer gets away and you didn't expect that. Everybody else that you're wanting to care about, it dies. But you leave there believing in that world. Like it's such a, you're like, that is, I see that as like, what was it supposed to be, like 80s or 90s Texas. And this, you're just like, I didn't believe in any of it. I didn't know why this story was being told. Like,
yeah, well, because that's No Country for Old Men is the perfect counter to this movie. Because No Country for Old Men has a weirdo played by Javier Bardem, right? But he's not only believable, he's terrifying. He's
chillingly terrifying. Yeah.
And his performance deserves all of the praise and accolades that it got. And then you have your hardened cop and Tommy Lee Jones. Then you got your sort of wild card guy in whichever Brolin it was. Was it Josh Brolin?
Josh Brolin, yeah.
Josh Brolin. But then you have this, this world.
You got some great cameos with Woody Harrelson and the fucking other guy there that he's working with.
And then you have the nice
hires him.
Oh God, Scott Caan.
What?
James Caan?
James Caan.
Hold on, I'm gonna look this up before I forget. I think it might be a Caan. I could be wrong. No
Wrong on Con?
Country for Old Men. Wrong on Con, my new podcast. I think, let's see, where do we got Stephen Root?
That's it.
Yeah.
You were wrong on Con, but Stephen Root is
Completely wrong. Stephen Root and both of the Cons look nothing alike. I don't know what I was doing there.
But yeah, it's where they took all of this crazy, but it's that feeling of they've created a world that I believe exists, and The Little Things was just so empty. Like you just felt so empty after watching it, of like, I just wasted an hour and a half for nothing that ever really fucking came together or mattered. Made me even fucking think. Yeah,
at least No Country for Old Men. I definitely felt empty at the end of watching No Country for Old Men, but like an empty existential empty.
Yeah,
and not just a drained, pissed off empty like what you get from The Little Things, because No Country for Old Men has some substance to it, and Little Things is all style, no substance.
Yeah,
and even
they
the
were
style
very
is
much
shitty.
It was. I know it was, because they weren't creating anything. They were trying to just like recreate or rip off stuff that like you'd said been done so much, and that it sucks because having now lived here in LA for almost 3 years, there is, I think, so much that can be done with this city that hasn't been done, as far as presenting it. Like a take on it that I really loved is the Baz Luhrmann's Romeo and Juliet is supposed to be in LA, right? I'm pretty sure.
It's supposed to
in
be
like a, I mean,
in a city. It could fit. It could feel like it was in LA. Like I rewatched that recently, and I thought they'd filmed it in LA somewhere, and then I looked it up, and I was like, oh, they actually filmed it in Mexico City for a lot of it, and they did film some in Miami and some in LA, but it just feels like it could be a big city. Like I would see that as being like, oh yeah, that happens in LA.
Yeah, but then there's like the noirs of downtown that rarely gets in. You know, in this they kind of go to that a little bit, but a lot of movies or shows about LA rarely show that like downtown has a much more New York feeling, and like grittiness, and fucking Skid Row is crazy and shit too. Like usually it's just like either, you know, beach life or Hollywood Hills is shown, but there's so much more of LA to show as a city. And like documentaries like the new one about the Night Stalker, I felt was like the footage from that time and stuff was what they were going for in this film, but they fucking completely missed.
They whiffed, man. I mean, even Heat has a great, because Heat, most of the actual action takes place downtown or at a port, which both feel like places in LA that you don't see shown a lot in movies. But they pulled off and showed the character of the city a lot better than anything else. Like it really sucks that people, the most they're going to see of LA in downtown LA at least is like in passing in a car commercial where they've cleaned up the block enough so that they can film their nice shots.
Have you ever been in any of the old buildings? Because I've delivered down there, and there's some old buildings that still have that look of like, you know, like Murphy, Private Eye. Like you walk in and it's all those like fogged glass door, like 50s style, 40s and 50s styles. Like, what is it? Fucking, what's the LA
Chinatown?
Confidential.
LA Confidential. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I always think of. And Chinatown with like the premier, like noir, and Chinatown, a fucking film that is so that, see, that's good because what you don't realize, but it's the greater thing is about this geopolitical thing of how California stole their fucking water, and they're telling it through this gritty noir story. And so it does create this like bigger meaning to the movie. And this had like nothing, like fucking nothing of that. They could have used this story to tell about, you know, women being killed that haven't been fucking solved in LA or something like.
Right.
Like, did you ever see Wind River?
No, I don't think I've even heard of that.
Is good. It is brutal. There's some parts of it.
Wait, Jeremy Renner's in that, right?
Yeah, Jeremy Renner, John Bernthal.
Right. Yeah, I remember trailers for that.
But it is a movie that through this one single story it actually brings to light this greater thing of Native American women are murdered and go missing at an incredible rate and never get solved. And people don't really care. Like, the local municipalities that would be running it, because if it happens on a reservation or not on the reservation, it's just like they go missing and nobody cares. Now they tell that through telling this one person's story. It's fucking. There's a whole murder rape scene in it that's pretty brutal and doesn't cut away, and it's just tough to watch.
But hey, probably easier to watch than the entirety of Little Things.
Yeah. And God, how long was it too? It didn't. That was
2 hours and 12 minutes, I think.
Yeah, this whole thing could have been an hour and a half. Could have been a 90-minute film.
This easily could have been a 90-minute film, and they didn't do it. This is not. This just stay in it. It's just not right. And I will forgive you for making me watch this movie, but fuck, really put a damper on the rest of my day. It's beautiful outside. I can't appreciate this because I had to watch The Little Things this morning, first thing when I got up. Well, hey, I mean, now I'm just going to go watch something else, probably Judas and the Black Messiah, which from all points that I've heard is not an early year theater dud. Thank goodness.
No, because, and now I was having this discussion with, speaking of a Malik B, there is the February, what is it called? Outlier, where like usually they put out the shitty films in January and February, but if it's a black movie and it's good, they will take it from being a summer blockbuster or a fall Oscar contender, and they will put it out in February. That's what they did with Black Panther. There was one other one in recent year, maybe Moonlight or something. They get, because February is Black History Month, like the award seasons allow for it. Where usually awards type movies you're not putting out until the fall, but it's like they remember, they're like all the things that came out in the fall, and then what black movies came out in February? Oh yeah, well, you have to consider those too. But
that was like Precious came out in, I think, April. The year that was the big hit, because I remember it was a Sundance movie
too, right? Yeah.
And it was Lee Daniels' first big pickup, and then it came out early on in the year after that, if memory serves, and then it just sailed away because everybody knew it was going to be an awards smash. Yeah, Little Things should not be that, and hopefully Jared Leto does not get nominated, but is what it fucking is, I guess.
Yeah, let's everybody do what you can. If you are part of the Film Academy Association, please make sure you don't vote for that. If you're a foreign correspondent, what's that? That's the
HFPA.
Yeah. Oh, he already did get nominated for that?
Yeah, he already did. There's no way that, this episode's going to come out the day after the Golden Globes anyway, so we have lost our chance of influencing that decision. But Oscars, we could still have a shot. So keep your grubby little fingers off of Jared Leto's name on the nomination list. Give it to somebody else.
Oscars no Leto. Let's get
Leto.
Hashtag Oscars no Leto.
I'm totally down. Hashtag Oscars no Leto. Hashtag Handren, thanks again for being on this episode.
Thanks for having me, buddy.
Of course. And go listen to Handren's new album, HS1. And if you live in LA, come check out our now weekly live show.
Every Thursday.
In
Burbank. Get tickets, get the address, private location, outdoors, everything's separated, but still a great environment to see fucking live stand-up comedy.
And it's cheap. So much cheaper than all the other outdoor shows in LA, because you know what? We just want to put on a great show, and we don't give a shit about gouging you for pandemic prices. Yeah,
totally. And also we don't want you to sit inside and watch movies like The Little Things. We want to get out and see live entertainment safely.
Exactly. And
I actually really don't care if they do it safely. I want to be safe, but I don't. If you don't want to be safe, that's on you. You do what you want.
That's on you. It is what it is, dude. And you can find, what's your at Handren Seavey?
Everything's just at Handren Seavey, YouTube, and on there. Which, if you listen to the album, if you look on my YouTube page or on my Instagram or something, I probably put out in another about half hour worth of stuff in little 1 2 minute clips. That's all on YouTube and on all the other stuff.
Handren's the king of dropping 1 and 2 minute clips right now.
I've just been blowing up TikTok with my 1 minute stand up clips.
That's how you do it. That's what happened to me. You get that following. And your X Games stuff is great, by the way.
Yep, that's how I get the hype beasts. That's all I want. I'm stealing Billie Eilish's fan base is what my plan is.
You're Billy Ray Eilish. You can find me at Diet J on Twitter and Instagram. If you like the show, please consider subscribing to the Patreon. You get bonus episodes. You get stuff to watch movies with me. And that is it. This has been Blockbusting. Go see something good for a change.